What's up, guys? Fire Emblem Engage is coming out in like a month. Just a month away. I'm really excited. So, to celebrate, we gotta do some Fire Emblem related things. And, Engage is like a celebration of 30 years or something of Fire Emblem. I don't remember what the anniversary is. I'm literally a fake fan. Also, the anniversary was like 2 years ago or something. But then something about a global pandemic happened and the game got pushed back, and so they're not even advertising it as an anniversary title anymore, even though it is. But the whole theme of the game is it's got all the games stuff. So we're gonna tier list every game. There's a lot of tiers here. I don't know if I'm even gonna use all of them. I'm gonna be honest. I just pressed the record button. This is the kind of content you get from me. Also, this tier list doesn't have the games in order of release, which is really annoying, so I'm going to have to manually do that. I think this is the box art for Fire Emblem 1. Yeah, this is 3, I think. Fire Emblem 1 is okay. It's fine. Maybe I'm going to put it lower. I'm going to be honest. This game is, it started the franchise, and for the time it was, like, amazing. It's got a lot of cool ideas. The permadeath was crazy, new concept, and I don't know, generally, the structure of the game is really well made. Okay, I'm convincing myself to move it up. Because, the thing about Fire Emblem is it kind of, the base formula has been the same since this game invented it. And, it's really good and fun. So, that's something. But yeah, this story is pretty boring and generic. Garnef is just generic evil sorcerer guy who's bad because he wants to be bad. And then, there's an evil earth dragon that only shows up at the very end when they're revived or something. It's fine. A lot of the characters just have reused portraits and aren't really characters. Some of them don't even have a single line. It's very funny. But, it was the first game, and it was made in, 1910 or something. This game's super old, so who cares? It's fine. It gets the job done. I'm glad we got it officially, localized. That was cool. Except that you can't get it anymore, because Nintendo... I don't under... What was the deal with that? Why? Whatever. It's cool that this game has an official English localization that you can't play. Fire Emblem 2. Okay, so one problem. This is the only game I haven't played. I have not played even a second of Fire Emblem Gaiden, because Echoes got announced around the time that I wanted to play it, and I just played Echoes, and spoiler alert, Echoes is just the same game, but it's better. So, there's literally no reason to play this game anymore, other than, I don't know, to look back at the history. So, it's really hard for me to rate it, because, I haven't even played it, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because it'd just be weird to have one game down in, haven't played tier. So Gaiden's really cool because it's the usual Nintendo original number 2, like Zelda 2 and Mario 2, where they're all weird, except Mario 2 is only weird in the West, but whatever. It was weird. You walked around in towns and stuff. There were 2 protagonists, and you could pick which of them you wanted to go with for a while, but eventually you'd get gated into needing to do something with the other character. No, I don't know. It's a pretty cool concept. Gameplay-wise, though, the game's really bad. The maps are really just open and boring. Even compared to, the maps in this one are way better than these. I don't really know what happened. I think it's because they had to create a lot more of them, maybe? And there's, the skirmishes, so they wanted maps to be really generic so they could just kind of fill them with enemies. I don't know. It's not great. Hit rates are stupid because, you step on a grave and you have just a flat 40 avoid, and this is before the 2RN system was a thing, so you just miss constantly and it's not great. I have watched a full playthrough of this game. I didn't mention that, so I kind of know what I'm talking about from the playthrough I watched 7 years ago or something. But I don't know, I think I got the idea. It's got a lot of really cool ideas, but it's just not really executed that well. And these games visually look fine. They don't really blow me away. There are better looking NES games. There are worse looking NES games, Moving on. Let's go to the SNES era. First thing to note is that the games look really good now. The graphics look great. I mean, it's a more powerful system, whatever. Fire Emblem 3. I don't know, it's still got a lot of the old game jank. I wouldn't say it really resonates with me at all. The story is like fine, but just for the fact that this game is a remake of Fire Emblem 1 and a sequel, all for the usual game price, is crazy. Like, this game has so much content, and just like one cartridge, it was wild. It's no wonder that when this game came out, it like completely outsold these two by a ton. And it was kind of like the Fire Emblem game in Japan for like years to come. Because I mean, it's just got so much to do. You got 2 entire games. That's kind of awesome. But yeah, it's basically just an improved version of Fire Emblem 1. I think they gave some of the characters who didn't have unique portraits this time, but they still don't really get characterization. But hey, it's there. Some characters got cut because they could barely fit the 2 games on the cartridge, so they had to cut a couple of maps from Fire Emblem 1, and also a couple of characters. You know, the cleric, the healer you get early on, Riss, is famously replaced with just a vulnerary, and it's a big meme or whatever, you know, whatever. Fire Emblem 4. I've never finished Fire Emblem 4, mostly because I lost my save file. But I got pretty far in it. And Fire Emblem 4 is really good, but I have my issues with it. So I love the characters in Fire Emblem 4, and I love the story. I feel like it's a massive upgrade compared to the 3 games that came before it. It's got some cool systems with like the love system, and then you get the characters married, and then you get to play as the kids in the next part. But if you don't get them married, you get the replacement characters, and that's kind of neat. And so it makes every playthrough like feel different, and your actions in the first half of the game, you know, feel meaningful. I feel like the biggest problem with this game is it's just kind of like slow and awkward, and the maps are so freaking gigantic. And yeah, the game's designed around the maps being big, but I don't know, the turn-by-turn gameplay just isn't as engaging to me as like all the other games. Sometimes you're just moving all your units across big spaces. Sometimes, like, the skirmishes are like a big clump of enemies, and you just kind of throw your units and hope they live, kind of. I don't know. The gameplay's not great, but everything else is amazing. I still don't know if I could put it higher than C. I'd put it above Fire Emblem 3. Now, the game desperately just needs a remake. I think a remake, you know, running on modern hardware, or it's less slow, would make this game amazing. And, you know, because of some certain leaks that have all been true so far, you know, we might be getting a remake of this game in the next couple of years. So, the remake of this game will probably be amazing. Like, I feel like it'll just fix all of the problems I do have with this game currently. But otherwise, yeah, I really like this game and the characters, the world, and everything. They're very good. It's just kind of held back by being kind of old and slow sometimes. And that's coming from me, who, like, I don't usually like mind games being old and slow, but this was just, I don't know. I guess once you get back to like the NES era and the SNES era, I'm a bit too, you know, much of a zoomer for that. Those games are just like really, like, honestly, none of these games are like that fun to play for me just because of that, but you know, it's fine. Thrasia's really neat. It's a really weird game. It really isn't like any of the other ones. It's very much like, it really integrates story with gameplay, and you really feel like Leaf struggled through the gameplay, and it's really cool. I just don't really know where to rate it. It obviously has all those things I don't like about like the older games that I've been saying, but I don't know. I think it's really commendable what they tried to do with this game, and I think they succeeded in a lot of ways. I don't know. To be fair, I've also never finished Thracia, so like, it's kind of the same deal, and maybe I'd put it higher if I'd finished it. But I really like a lot of things. I like the characters a lot too. And you know what? You know, we've gotten pretty consistent remakes lately. We got FE2 remade, and now we're probably, you know, it's not confirmed, but we're probably getting FE4 remade. And I imagine Thracia will be remade next, and that could be really good. These games both just like need a remake, I think, and then they could be higher. You know, obviously this is probably a lot of personal bias from me, just like not being a big like SNES fan, I guess. I don't know. Moving on. Alright, now we have the post-Kaga era, as it's known. You know, the creator guy left Fire Emblem. I think, you know, there are channels where you can watch videos about that. It's pretty interesting, actually. Especially when he, like, literally just tried to make Fire Emblem, but on the PlayStation, and he super, like, broke copyright laws, and, like, it's very interesting. But anyway, FE6. Where do I put FE6? I kind of want to put it here. Like, I've liked this game more and more as I've played it more, but also, funny enough, I've only finished it once, and I didn't even get the true ending. So yeah, I really dang. This has exposed me as a fake Fire Emblem fan, apparently. But that said, I really like what it does. I like how it kind of modernized the franchise. I love the GBA art style, and the animations and everything's great. The characters in this one are maybe not as good as some of the ones after it, and obviously a lot of people have criticized kind of like, you know, Roy and Guinevere and Merlinus get like all the screen time, and their banter isn't like especially interesting. And then it's been debated, oh, is that just because the fan translation isn't very good, and this and that. I don't really care. All I know is that I think it's fine. I like that it tries to capture more of like this large-scale conflict over a long period of time, kind of more than some of these other games. And some of that ends up being to its detriment, but also I kind of appreciate the ambition. You know, you're going to all the different continents, and you go to different continents like each playthrough depending on kind of what you do, even if it's kind of hidden away. But I like the idea that like the game encourages you to play it multiple times. That stuff's good. I love replayability in my Fire Emblem game. So yeah, it's neat. The legendary weapons are neat. It feels rewarding to like get all of them so you get the true ending. Although it kind of sucks that the game doesn't tell you that, and then you're like me and you miss one of them and you're like, I wasn't really good at using it anyway. And then you're locked into the bad ending, or not necessarily a bad ending, but just the mediocre ending. I don't know. But yeah, overall it's great. I guess the music, I haven't talked about the music with any of these games. I mean, most Fire Emblem games have good music, and these games all down here have good music. In fact, Gaiden, that's probably the best thing about it. Gaiden's music is insane. You listen to some of Gaiden's music tracks, and you're like, this is an NES song? Like, is it the Chapter 4 theme? I don't remember which chapter. One of the chapter themes is, like, insane. It's like this whole epic song that's, like, really long, and you're like, what the heck? I think it's one that goes do 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 do. You know, if you know the song, you know the song. Obviously, it's also in the remake, but you know, that's why this game's not in like F tier. Well, okay, it's not the only reason, but the music's amazing. But yeah, the music in Binding Blade, I've always been kind of like on. Like, it's got some great tracks like Shaman in the Dark, but also Shaman in the Dark's really short. I don't know. It definitely doesn't have my favorite music in the franchise, but it's got some good stuff too. FE7. I don't know, I feel like such a normie putting it here, but, like, I don't know, it's FE7. You know, it's such a great introduction into the franchise if you've never played before, because it has the whole, like, Lyn tutorial campaign. And even though that story of that campaign is like, and Lyn's, like, not that interesting in my opinion, it's, like, it's still really great for, like, getting you into the game and, like, showing you, like, what Fire Emblem was like. This was the second game I played through, so, like, you know, I was trying to get into the rest of the franchise, and this game helped a lot with that. But, like, I don't know, I played this game, like, so many times. So many playthroughs. It's just so fun. I don't know. Like, people have picked apart the story over the years, and there are some moments that I don't like when they, spoiler alert for this very old game, like when, you know, Ellie would accidentally kills Ninian, and then she just gets resurrected by Bramamond at the end, and just like, okay. It's like, it kind of like cheapened her death to me, but whatever. It's still great, and I love the lore of like Elib and stuff, and I love Nurgle as an antagonist. People probably don't like how like his important backstory is hid away in some like hard to reach chapter where you have to like jump through some weird hoops to get there, but I like it a lot. It's good and cool, and the music is amazing, and it's just kind of fun. I don't know. Obviously, I just keep coming back to it. There's just something about FE7. Moving on. Fire Emblem 8. Fire Emblem 8 is really good. It's got really good music. Something about these games at like the end of a console's lifespan, they just go crazy with the music, I swear. Like, some of the map themes in Sacred Stones are my absolute favorite. The Preparations theme is also freaking amazing. It's so good. Yeah, I like the replayability with the whole 2 alternate routes, which kind of give you different parts of the story, and you really have to play both of them to get the full context of the story. Leon, however the heck his name is pronounced. I don't remember how they pronounced it in Heroes, if they did at all. But yeah, he's one of my favorite antagonists, because, like, you know, a lot of Fire Emblem antagonists I feel like are kind of mid. Like, they're not that interesting, but Leon's really interesting, and I, like, get why he did the things he did. Although, Erica's route kind of, like, he's, like, less interesting in that one. You kind of have to play Ephraim's route to get, like, oh, you're like, oh, dang, that's crazy. But, yeah, it's really good. You can have even more options with, like, the whole split class thing. This is also something they, like, keep doing where every few games they just, like, go back to Gaiden. So it's got the whole Two Lords thing, and it's got the, like, explorable map and the creatures. It's not going to be the last time that happens. Like, I swear, it's like every few games they're like, oh wait, let's do a Gaiden game again. And you know what, fair enough, I think it works. I like the weird post-game this game has with the creature campaign. I wouldn't say it's like substantial content, but it's kind of fun. I liked exploring the ruins in the tower and trying to get like the rare drops. I think I found some boots once, which is like a stupid rare chance to have like a random enemy spawn with it, and so I just had an extra pair of boots, and I think I'd already given 2 of them, like the 1 or 2 that you get from the story, to Vanessa, and I just like gave it to her again, and she just has a trillion move, and it was very funny. But it does get a bit repetitive, and it's kind of insane. You have to do the ruins like 20 times to get Leon as playable or whatever, which is like, it's cool, but I don't know. I did it like 5 or 6 times, and I was like, I'm good. But it's a good game. I wouldn't say the story is amazing, but the characters in the story are really good. So you know, it makes it all good. Let's see. I lost my place. Right, Path of Radiance. A or S tier? Well, I'll keep it in A for now. So like, this was their first 3D game for Fire Emblem. And, yeah, it kind of shows. Like, the animations can be kind of clunky. The game is very slow. Even with, like, animations off, you still have these really long, like, animation, like, map animations, and that's as fast as the game goes. But, that said, I just kind of love everything else about this game. I love Tellius as, like, a world is super interesting. I think the, like, main conflict is really engaging. The characters are really fun and good. Ashdard's a really generic villain, but, like, that's fine. The other characters are cool. You know, the whole political climate of Tellius is really interesting. Like, none of the countries really trust each other very much. Even, like the Laguzalon meet up, and they don't even really get along, and then, like, Naysala's all doing his own thing, and, like, selling racing to Oliver, and then being like, nah bro, I was gonna break you out later. That it's like, couldn't you have just told me that to begin with? But it's like, no, because Naysala just likes being a terrible person, and it's great. Even if it's to like help his... How much money did he get from Oliver? So like, he wants the money to help his country, right? Because Kilvis is like really poor or something. But like, it's been a while since I've read the story, so I'm probably just making stuff up. But like, so that's why he sold Racing, right, to get $1 billion. How rich is Oliver that he has enough money that like Naysala's like, yeah, this will help my maybe, I don't know. Anyway, it's really good. The music's amazing. The replay value is amazing. Don't you have to play the game like 20 times or something, or 25 times or something to like unlock Ashnard for like the trial maps? That's very funny. The game is very replayable, but I don't know if you're going to be playing it that many times. I mean, I've only beaten it like, what, 3 times? But yeah, I don't know, it's fun. I like when you like upgrade like the horse units, and then you get to pick a new like secondary weapon for them. And then like it happens with mages, but you're never going to pick daggers, because why would you pick daggers? I've done it. It's not a good idea. You'll never use the daggers. But, you know, for the first 3D game, it's really great. But I don't like it as much as I like Radiant Dawn. Now, the lore is that I played Radiant Dawn first. Long story short, I had someone who had both the games to borrow them from, but my Wii had broken, so I only had my Wii U. And you can't play GameCube games on the Wii U, so I just borrowed the Wii one and said, I don't care, I want to play more Fire Emblem games. Because this was right after I played FE7, and so I played this one, and I loved it. It's very good. It's hard, but also it's not hard. It's only hard because they like localize the names of the difficulties weird. So like if you play in normal mode, you're actually playing on hard mode. It's very strange. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I played on normal mode, and this is like my third Fire Emblem game. And I had just arena grinded in FE7, and you know, Awakened, you just farm EXP forever. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, but it was really rewarding to beat. And I was like, oh, grinding, you don't need to grind to level 5 billion. It's actually fun to just play the game. But yeah, Radiant Dawn is great. The music is phenomenal. The game visually is just like really good. Like, some of the animations are still a bit clunky, but I mean, like, some of the maps, like, you load up to the first map, like, with Micaiah on the streets, and there's birds flying through the air and stuff, and it's just like, whoa, this game's got some budget behind it, you know, this is a pretty looking Wii game. And this game has also gotten a lot of scrutiny for some of the story elements, like the blackmail death thing where it's like Naysala and Peleus get tricked into signing their name, and they have to do something or else all their people will die. And it's kind of goofy, but I don't really care. I'm gonna be honest, I still love the story. Again, it's more that Teleus political climate stuff, and the whole idea of you having two different armies, and sometimes they fight each other, and then all the little things where you can transfer stuff from Path of Radiance, and then some characters can switch sides, and some of them will get better stats and stuff. And it's just the best. It's really great. I like it a lot. I don't have much else to say. Har is awesome. Oh yeah, it's really long. It's like this huge epic. It's 40 chapters or something, whereas most Fire Emblem games average 25. It's broken up into 4 parts, and I like that. I don't know. Some people don't like it. I like it. You know, Olencia's Gambit goes hard. I love two-turning it with Har, because you can just send Har down to kill a boss in the second turn, and it's very funny. But yeah, the first time I played that map was a nightmare. Anyway, what's the next one? Fire Emblem 11. That is the Shadow Dragon. So lately, I always hear all this stuff in the community about Shadow Dragon is actually really good. Well, guess what? I don't know. I don't like it that much. One, it's really ugly. I'm sorry. I don't like the art style. And some people are like, oh, you know, the art style's not good, but the rest of the game's good. One, I don't know if I fully agree with that. Two, I'm sorry, I want the game to at least look a little it's gotta have something to it. This game's got nothing. It's just got these weird, 3D, but they're still trying to look like sprites. I don't know. The battle animations just look awkward. The map is just kind of ugly. It's just kind of an ugly game. And, you know, it's just Fire Emblem 1, but a bit better, I guess. I don't know. It just really hasn't done anything for me, and I still think the story and the characters are just kind of eh. Who cares? I like Marth because he's fun in Smash, but as a character, you know, he's just, you know, he's Marth. He's just generic protagonist, man. FB12's a lot better. And you know what? I'll put it in B. Even though I haven't played this game. I have played this game, but I haven't played it more than once. A lot of these games, I didn't mention the Sacred Stones. I think I mentioned this game. But yeah, I played all, these games up here, several times. I've only played this one once. But I remember really liking it. I thought the story with Katarina was, interesting that they added. It was kind of fun to do all those side maps. There's just, a ton of characters. And, that increases the replay value a lot. It's got some really goofy difficulty modes. The one where the enemies always attack first. And it's, stupid hard. I don't know, this game just felt very experimental, which is weird because it's a remake. But, yeah, they just experimented with a lot of stuff, and a lot of the stuff stuck. The Avatar, the casual mode, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if keeping the Avatar was a good idea. I think casual mode is perfectly fine to exist, you know. I mean, ask me 5 years ago when I was a doomer about modern Fire Emblem, I would have been freaking casual mode. But it's just an option. It's fine. But the protagonist, I don't really like the self-insert protagonist though. That one, none of them have been especially good. But yeah, no, the game was fun to play though. It's decently challenging even on normal mode. I remember. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't have a ton to say about it because I've only played it once, and that was ages ago. but I remember liking it enough to put it here. It's probably more like down here, but Roy's getting kind of lonely. Fire Emblem Awakening. Okay, my history with this game is, there's just so much. So, like, it's my first Fire Emblem game, like, you know, it's true with a lot of people. And I absolutely loved it. It was, like, one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. But as time has passed, and I play it more and more, I've spent, like, you know, at least a couple hundred hours in Awakening. And some of the cracks just start to show more and more with it. I really like the first arc with Gangrel. He's like kind of interesting, almost. Not really. I think if they dedicated the entire story to him, and like, cause from what I remember, he's basically getting revenge because Chrome's dad was a terrible person. It like just kind of fricked over their nation. And Gangrel's, like, wants revenge, and, like, understandably so, you know? Chrome's dad did some messed up stuff to his country. But, like, they don't really do anything with that, and I think it's just, like, offhand mentioned, like, once or something. So, like, you know, he had the makings of maybe a good villain, but because they don't do anything with it, he just kind of ends up being very generic. But, like, the first 13 maps of Awakening are, like, really compelling and really good, and I enjoy the gameplay. But then, oh man, like chapter 14 or whatever hits, and it's just kind of all downhill from there. The maps just kind of get worse and worse to play through. And then, as much as I like customizable child units, at some points there's just like, I don't know, some of the child unit maps are just kind of awkward. They handle it way better in Fates, where the maps just like scale to where you're at in the game. But, like, you'll, like, unlock a map, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get Pan's kid, or whatever, and then you'll just get eviscerated, because, like, oh, actually, you need to be way stronger for this. And you're like, okay, but why unlock it now? I mean, I like having the option to maybe do it early, but most of the time, I don't know. And half the time it feels like you either just overlevel and make your units broken and solo the whole game, or you don't do that, and you're like, and you play in hard mode, and then hard mode's not actually that hard at all, except that when the enemy reinforcements can attack in the same turn for some reason. Why did we bring that back from Binding Blade? But only for hard mode. And like otherwise hard mode would be decent, if not still a little too easy. The difficulty balancing in this game is just all over the place. The story, you know, I don't really enjoy it that much, especially the second arc with like Walhart. He's just so boring. He's like, I want to conquer the world. It's like, oh, why do you want to do that? Because I want to conquer the world. It's like, that's really interesting. Some of his, like, generals are kind of goofy and fun, like the mustache guy, but, like, you know, the story just kind of, like, doesn't do anything that whole, like, part of the game. And it's a pretty big part of the game. I don't know. Awakening just feels very unfocused at times, and it makes sense because of the way it was made, and they were kind of trying to like reference like a ton of stuff from the series because they thought it'd be the last game. I like a lot of concepts about it. You know, again, I like the unit customizability. I think the problem with Awakening is that Fates handles all the things I like about Awakening better. So like Awakening just like doesn't have anything left that I'd play it for over Fates. Which some people might be like, what is he talking about? Why is he saying all these good things about Fates? Well, if you watch the podcast, you might know that I don't hate Fates anymore. But the point is, Awakening is like fine, and I'd put like here. It's got good aspects, and it can be fun. But man, the amount of things that I don't like about it really hold me back. I keep revisiting this game thinking I'm going to really enjoy it this time. And I always walk away kind of disappointed. But hey, that's just me. Music's amazing though, you know, that's great. The DLC's fun, if not expensive. But now that I played all the other games, it's like really cool to like see all the different characters and whatnot. That's kind of neat. Anyway, Fates. The Birthright is very mid. I put it like, is it this bad? I don't really know where to put it. On one hand, okay, let's go over the pros and cons, right? So the things that are definitely bad, and this is true of all the Fates games. Number one, the story. Everyone knows that. Number 2, the characters aren't great. I don't think I hate them as much as I used to. And there are characters from Fates that I like. But, you know, that's... But yeah, the story's definitely so bad. But it's almost so bad it's good. Like, I got a lot of enjoyment out of replaying the games. I replayed all 3 games, like, what, last year? Or the year before? Like, all in a row, reading all the dialogue again. And it was really entertaining. You know, not for the right reasons. Not for the reasons that maybe you'd want as a writer for the person to like your story. But, man, I had a kick out of, like, how many ridiculous plot devices and like hoops they jump through to try and explain some of this stuff. Oh my gosh, it was so funny and so good. I could go on and on. Okay, I'll just give one example. I love Lilith. She's just kind of like, I'm Lilith. And then she's like, actually, I'm like a fish or something. And then she brings you to the weird castle realm. She's like, this is the castle realm. You can feed me. You're like, okay. And then she doesn't show up in the story for like 15 hours. And then randomly she shows up again. She's like, I'll save you from this one enemy that's attacking you, even though you've just beaten like 50 of those same exact enemies in the map before. But Corrin apparently can't beat this one enemy. And so Lilith shows up to protect it. And then she just dies. And they're like, no! Lilith, how could you? Okay. Anyway, it's really funny. And it doesn't make any sense. And then in the DLC, oh yeah, you only find out she's actually Corrin's like half-sister or something, like in the DLC. I don't know. It's so silly, but it's so much fun. Like, Again, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't funny to read, you know? Like, I had a hoot reading it. So, I guess I don't know how much I want to say, because some of the stuff... I'll just talk about Fates in general for a second. There are a lot of things that Fates does really well. One, it's still got the unit customizability from Awakening, but way more balanced. You know, your character can't reclass into 50 different classes, they just have one class they can reclass into, and then you can pair them up to get their S support and their A+ supports to get 2 additional classes. And then that's it. And when you reclass, your level doesn't reset. You can't just, like, infinitely reset to level 1 and get your levels back again and get a billion stats. The child units all scale depending on how far you are in the game. And that's really fun because you can get them in different orders and different playthroughs, and you know, you do one map really early and then a different playthrough do it really late, and the enemies are like way stronger. And it just feels so much better balanced than the way Awakening did it. The music is incredible. I'm so mad that Smash just used Lost in Thoughts All Alone as the only Fate song and just did it 4 times, because there's so many great tracks from these games. The My Castle, as like stupid as it is from like a story's perspective, I really like My Castle. I love how you can visit other people's castles and like you can make their layouts however you want. I love the like path bonuses where like if you play multiple of the routes, you unlock more and more stuff for your castle. Like, you know, if you beat Conquest, then you could use the Conquest style maps even if you're playing Birthright for your My Castle, and that's really cool. And you unlock all the different like people that can be your assistant or whatever, all the different classes and characters, and like you can get all the like accessories and like give your characters goofy accessories, and you could go to the little gambling thing and try and get something, or go to the hot springs or do the arena, and there's just like a bunch of fun little stuff to do there. And that's why I'm really excited that Engage looks like they took the My Castle concept and just went, okay, let's go even further beyond with it. And that has me really excited because I love all the little goofy things you can do in the My Castle. I've in recent years have found that I really enjoy that part of the game. And just kind of the multiplayer aspect in general. Like, you have your little profile card and it shows which routes you've beaten and on which difficulties. It's kind of motivated me to want to beat these games on like all the higher difficulties to get the little badges on my card. I don't know, all those little like goofy details are really cool. The reason why I don't want to put Birthright higher though is because 1, yeah, the story's terrible, and 2, oh by the way, people who say Birthright story isn't that bad and it's just these 2 that are bad are coping. I reread it, it's just as bad as the other two. Just as funny, but yeah, just as bad. It's not great. But the maps in Birthright are so weird. They either a lot of them are just really boring, and then the other half are really frustrating and weird. But that's kind of true of this game as well, but this game has it worse, so I don't know. I feel like the thing is, though, which game would I rather play? I still think I'd play Birthright faster than these games, just because, like, Fates, this has got all the modern things that make playing Fire Emblem feel nice and smooth compared to these ones. Awakening still might be better, because Awakening's got a lot of things I don't like about it, but, you know, none of them are as bad as the story, and the bad maps in Birthright, I think, are probably worse than the bad maps in Awakening. Maybe debatable. I'll leave it here for now, but I'm not really sure. Conquest. I kind of want to put here. Maybe I'm crazy, but some people will be like, Conquest is S. And I like Conquest for the reasons other people like Conquest. It's really fun. The challenge is really fun without feeling too overbearing. The difficulties are well balanced. Just the feeling of like having limited resources feels really fun and like rewarding. It feels really rewarding to like use Niles to like capture a strong boss and like make him join you, and that'll make your life easier in the later chapters and stuff like that. It's got all the things that I've already said I liked about Fates when I was talking about Birthright. Generally, I think I like the characters in Conquest more from like more of a design point than I like them as characters, but you know. I don't know. It's just, Conquest is just really fun. When Conquest is fun, it's really good. Unfortunately, I do disagree, and the reason why I can't put it above Sacred Stones. What was I thinking? And I probably can't even. It's probably like here, because the story is still like unreadably bad. And the one thing that I have to say is that a lot of people say the maps in this game are amazing. There are a lot of maps that I actually think are very bad in Conquest, and like too gimmicky for their own good. But I can't deny that, like, generally speaking, the game is very fun to play. And Fates' systems, I think, work best in Conquest, and it's just a fun time. But the story is still really bad, and some of the maps really are infuriating, and it definitely could have been better. There's no way it's better than these games, for sure. But I think I definitely play Conquest. Like, if I had to play a Fire Emblem game, I'm more likely to pick up Conquest than I am either of these two, for sure. And in fact, I almost want to put this one lower. But we already put it in B, and it's funny, so I'm going to leave it there. Revelations is very bad. I don't know if I'm going to be as harsh. In the past, I would have just put it in F. But I'm going to put it here. Revelations is really bad. The story is even worse somehow. The game's balancing is terrible. There are so many like infuriating maps. Like 90% of the maps in this game are unplayable. The character balancing is hilarious because they have to like find a way to give you all the characters from this game and this game, and some of them are just haphazardly slapped in there. And like Arthur joins at like level 10, and you're like way past that point, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this guy? Yeah, it's not great. But you know, it's still got that fun customizability that the other games have, and even more so because you get all the units. You could do all the child unit maps. That's kind of fun in one game, and those parts are fun to do. The child units, like the implementation, I haven't spoken about, is really bad, but from like a story's perspective, or from a gameplay perspective, it's a jillion times better than Awakening. But yeah, I don't know. I wish Revelations maps were even like a little better, because it could have been really fun because of all the options you have. But man, I just like every map is just like not fun. So it has to go here. 3 houses. Oh man, this is all the community has talked about for the last 3 years or whatever. How old is this game now? How do I feel about Three Houses? So one, I'm not a huge fan of the game visually. One, the performance is really all over the place. Two, sometimes it looks good, other times not so much. It feels very muddy sometimes. It runs off the Warriors engine, which intentionally has bad textures and stuff because it has to support a jillion enemies on screen. Don't know if they should have used it for a full-on Fire Emblem game. I get why they did. It saved a lot of time and resources, I'm sure. But, yeah, not the best idea. I like a lot of the characters. I think are much better written than we've had in a while. There are a lot of characters I really like. The story is very weird. So obviously it's broken up into 4 routes, but some of the routes are just completely awful, like Silver Snow. And then Edelgard's route is like, feels like unfinished. It just, it's just weird, and like, Claude's route can be just kind of all over the place, and Dimitri's route is the only one that really feels like a coherent story sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. The world has a lot of lore, and a lot of it's really good, but a lot of it's also just like weird. Like the game will like not explain things and then act like, oh, you know, I'm doing a really cool writing thing where I like don't explain everything to the audience, except that like it doesn't really end up working because it'll just like it'll not explain things that really should be explained. I don't know how to describe it. And there's just a lot to talk about and go into with Fire Emblem Three Houses, because it does have a lot of lore, but a lot of it is like really interesting, but like they don't quite explain all of it enough for it to really be fleshed out. So it can be kind of weird. But I do like the world, and again, I really like the characters. The gameplay's a little weird. Sometimes I have a lot of fun with it, and other times I'm like, I don't know. It's weird that like you could just use every weapon on every character at like any moment, and half the time and also the classes, like the characters don't really stand out a lot from each other, and it just feels wrong not to just make everyone a Wyvern Rider and use a bow, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I do have a lot of fun when I play this game, and I think I'm gonna put it here. Because generally I think it's like a much better game than like Fate's, like all around. But yeah, it might be just because it's the most recent game, and maybe I'm being most harsh on it as a result. Although obviously I still put it in A, so I obviously like it. But I think its shortcomings have become more and more apparent over time, which I guess is kind of the same thing that happened to me with Awakening. So we'll see. Maybe it'll fall down further. I actually haven't played it in a long time, though. Basically not since the DLC dropped, like the last DLC. And then I think a couple months went by, and then I played the last route. And that's like the last time I've even touched the game. And I really haven't felt like going back. Maybe I will one day. But with other Fire Emblem games, I always feel the need to go back. But I think because this game, it just gets so exhausting because the first half of the game is always the same. And sometimes even the second half, some of the maps are the same. And you just kind of do them over and over and over again, like in a short amount of time. Because if you're playing all the routes back to back, it's just like a terrible idea. Don't do it. You just get exhausted of the game so fast. Because I did Dimitri, Edelgard, Claude's routes all back to back, and you're just like exhausted by the end of it. You're so sick of Three Houses. The monastery was like an interesting idea, but I didn't really find myself like having that much fun with it. I like the managing the resources aspect of it. But I don't know. There's not a ton of interesting things to do. Like, Engage just looks like the monastery, but, like, more condensed and, like... and with also more stuff to do. So I'm definitely looking forward to it more than the monastery. I mean, I'll be honest, I played a New Game Plus for the rest of my playthroughs just so I, like, barely had to worry about the monastery. I don't absolutely hate it the way some people do, but... it could have used some more work, some more tweaking, but it was also the first time trying something like it, so it makes sense that it wasn't like a banger out the gate. But yeah, I just completely skipped over Echoes, huh? I don't know why I did that. Uh, Echoes is a really good game. It's held back by the things that were bad about Gaiden, the terrible maps, some of the mechanics are kind of weird, but the new mechanics they introduced are really good. Its art style is incredible. The voice acting is incredible. The first Fire Emblem game fully voiced, and they did a banger job. The story is relatively simple but fun. I like Echo's story. I like the characters. Characters are cool. It's got a decent amount of replay value, but at the same time, the moment-to-moment gameplay just like isn't that fun compared to a lot of these other games, just because it can feel really simple other than like the combat arts, which do add some spice. But yeah, generally it's not the most fun game to play, but I like the ideas. It's a really excellent remake, and I'd still, put it above all these games. I really like Echoes, and it really is only held back by like the things that weren't great about this game, which is super old, and some of those ideas ending up not being as great. It's kind of like, with Heart Gold Soul Silver, how like that game's amazing, but it's held back by Gold and Silver's design and the limitations put on Gold and Silver by the cartridge space, and those issues end up rearing their ugly head in Heart Gold Soul Silver for me personally. It's like the exact same thing. Like, Echoes is amazing, but you can't fully escape some of the things from the game you're remaking, That said, no Fire Emblem game is F tier. Hot take. Whoops, delete. Everyone, me included, love to be like, nobody hates Fire Emblem more than Fire Emblem fans, and it is a very funny joke. But I really love this franchise. It's really fun. I can't wait for Engage. I'm really excited for that game because it kind of like is doing everything to appeal to me specifically, and I'm really looking forward to it. The animations look incredible. The My Castle 2 Electric Boogaloo looks super fun. I don't even care if the story is mid. The gameplay just looks super fun, and it's got a ton of references to all these games that I like, and I like references. I point at the screen and I'm like, oh, my throat is dry because I've been talking so much. Yeah, I'm gonna point at the screen and be like, oh my gosh, it's Legion from Fire Emblem 12. I love that, like, the majority of Fire Emblem fans like have not played a game before Awakening, but this game is just gonna be filled with references to like old Fire Emblem games. Like, no one's gonna pog when they get like the Glade ring in Engage, but I'm gonna be pointing at the screen and going, let's freaking go, there's the Glade ring. I can't wait. It's gonna be so fun. Like, yeah, if you get the chance in the next month, play all the games this year. Because I guarantee it's gonna make Engage so much more fun. I can't wait to like have tea with Leaf. Like, dude, Leaf is like a prominent character in Engage from this game that literally no one, not even in Japan, has played. How awesome is that? I can't wait. Anyway, goodbye, subscribe, and like.